Hello class! Today we're going to talk about the wardrobe study. Okay, so on the last class we had talked pretty much about what consumer observation study is and why we're doing consumer observation, because that is a very important kind of tool to understand better about consumers' needs, and it is also very useful to witness hidden, unveiled kind of consumer motivations and their hidden needs that has not fully reported by the consumer because they cannot recognize that they are having certain needs. So we are gonna go to their home. Okay, so we are gonna visit their home and observe their wardrobe. Okay, so before we start, I'd like to let you know that almost everybody successfully submitted your the first assignment, and thank you so much. I am still waiting for 3 more students assignment, but they're working on it. So I promise by next week I'm gonna give you the personal feedback, and pretty much it was excellent, because your writing was really good, really good. So I have decided to give you much more readings, because you're reading and you're following up, you're listening to me. So I was so impressed to read. It was a great pleasure to read your your essays, and it was all well written, and everybody has done really excellent job. I really appreciate it, and we're going to continue to do your second assignment. Your second assignment, it has 2 parts. One part is about wardrobe study, and another part is accompanied shopping. If you cannot do both of them, okay, so you can pay attention on a specific topic, like technique, like where you can choose to do the wardrobe study, or you can choose to do the accompanied shopping. Okay, but if you are choosing one instead of both, in that case I want you to go deeper, to observe deeply about their the consumption behavior and their wardrobing behavior. Okay, all right, okay. So today we're going to talk about what a wardrobe study is and what wardrobe is, and we're going to talk more about some theories which are discussing about wardrobe study. So the theories behind wardrobe study, the technique is called material culture. The material, your clothing piece itself, and the closet, and the arrangement of your collection, and your curation, and your assembly of your clothing itself, your closet itself, that is material. So materials all have symbolic meanings that has been given by the environment, or that you put in. Okay, so that is your personal kind of symbolic narratives and the symbolic meanings that has been put on your clothes and the wardrobe. So we are gonna think about what could be the hidden needs, values, and motivations of your fashion consumers, what they care, or what they think, what is important. So we are gonna go deeper to look at what is going on under wardrobing moment. Okay, so you're gonna observe wardrobe collections and the behaviors to discover your consumers' hidden needs. All right. Okay, so what is wardrobe? A wardrobe is, if you look up the dictionary, it has 2 meanings. One is about the closet itself. The closet itself is also called as wardrobe, and the second meaning is it is the collections of your clothing. So the whole collections of your clothing pieces is also called as wardrobe. So for example, if you're having like fitted wardrobe on the wall, in that case that is defining the first meaning, like closet. And my summer wardrobe, my capsule wardrobe, in that case, a capsule wardrobe, very minimal and limited collection of your wardrobe, that is the example to describe the second definition of your wardrobe. Okay, so it has a variety of meaning, how you're keeping and choosing your clothes from your wardrobe. That is also called as wardrobing. So it has very not very specific kind of meaning, but it has wider a spectrum to talk about somebody's wardrobe. Okay, so it is not very well defined kind of term, and it is because just as most of the observation study is taking very exploratory kind of approach, that means they are not coming up with very structured kind of questions to ask, what is your favorite clothing piece, and that kind of ways to ask question is not considered as natural, and your participant, like your respondent, your consumer, and yourself cannot be in a natural mood and be comfortable enough to show you what they have and what they do. So we're gonna come up with no questions. Okay, no questions. This is exploratory kind of approach to observe what they have on their wardrobe. So we're gonna come up and see what is the most eye-catching wardrobe clothing pieces, and your wardrobe looks like it's like somebody's in this case. You can see the Ayana's and the Karim's bedroom, and they just got married and they decided to live together, but their spending habit was quite different, because the Karim here, standing here, Karim is spending more than $1,000 a month on purchasing his clothes. But in case of Ayana don't purchase any clothes for the last 3 or 4 months. She stopped purchasing more clothes. So in that case, their new bedroom is full of Karim's clothes. Okay, so Karim's many pieces of clothes. Their bedroom is full of Karim's bedroom, so the Karim's clothes. So the Ayana is always saying that I love how Karim has a great fashion sense, but I would love it a bit more space in the wardrobe, and who needs 70 different pairs of socks. Okay, so I don't want Karen to spend more money on clothes for me. I just wish he spent less on himself and more on things we can do together as a couple. So that was what I was expecting for to Karim, and Karim is saying something else. Okay, so Karim is saying that a jacket and shoes are my things because I like buying low maintenance stuff I can wear a lot. So he is pursuing a very low maintenance kind of stuff, so he doesn't have to wash frequently or pay much attention to maintain it. So he is saying that he is making that kind of rational kind of consumption. So even though he is spending much money on clothes, but Karim is insisting that he is making a very rational kind of consumption choices. So he want Ayana to understand better about him. So you can see the 2 point of views. You can see the word view of Ayana, and you can see the word view of Karim's, and their views are conflicting. So in that case, they need more conversations and more talks to compromise somehow to solve this kind of problem. So you're gonna see and listen what is in their bedroom, what is in their wardrobe, and how they're perceiving about the existence of their wardrobe as it is. So our purpose is to see what is going on and what is important to you by listening to them, and then you're gonna make your kind of assumption, your analysis to see the consumption values and what they value the most. That means why that clothing piece is important to them. Okay, so you're gonna take a look at their clothes, and if you see the materials, all the materials surrounded by you, in case you might have like very catchy kind of questions. If you can find any eye-catching kind of clothing pieces or any materials that has been placed in their bedroom, you can go ahead and ask about it. Okay, so that is the starting point. This is very conversational and casual kind of approach to explore what is going on around their wardrobe. All right. And this is one example wardrobe study that has been conducted by a independent photographer, and he has done some social study because he actually mentioned that this is an exploratory social study, that he wants to know the relationship between people and their wardrobe. So what he did was he asked the people to have the entire wardrobe, entire collections of their clothing. So he brought all their clothes in his studio and arranged on the bottom of the floor, arranged them in a row. And asked them to select the mostly used and mostly worn clothing pieces and put it right next to you, and you're gonna lie on the bottom, on the center of your wardrobe, and you're gonna lie on the wardrobe, and you're gonna put your favorite, not favorite pieces, but the mostly worn pieces of clothing, to put the mostly worn pieces around you, and the clothing pieces that you don't wear pretty much, you're gonna set that apart from you. So you can see these collections of the clothing that is like surrounding you. Okay, so the clothing pieces is you is expressing yourself. It is interesting to see how clothing pieces could express the individual self. But he found a very interesting he got very interesting findings, and he said that it was a social study because that was exploratory kind of approach that he take, and he concerned pretty much what is the relationship between people and their personality and their wardrobe. And he had not set any assumptions or any possible findings or potential findings, so he had no clue. Just started to see what is going on. And he said it suddenly revealed itself slowly by having more and more participants, and to witness and to observe what they choose to wear most frequently. And it was mostly about jeans and the t-shirts, and very casual kind of clothing, and everybody chose just around next to them, like they are pointing out as their mostly worn clothing pieces were pretty much the same. So he tried to typologize, to typify the people based on their personality, but he decided not to do because everybody's selection was pretty much the same. So what he want to describe and insist overall at the bottom line was about the sustainable and sharing economy, and that was kind of fruitful kind of findings to see how people select the clothes and their clothing pieces. And you can see very playful kind of gestures of the man who is playing around his wardrobe, and you can see the pictures, two girls laying down on the ground and holding hands, and their selections of their clothing pieces is pretty much the same. You can see their choices are pretty much the same. Okay, so you can see the relationship of the people and their relationship with their wardrobe. So this is a very exploratory kind of casual study, but it might say, your study and your observation might say something else. Okay, so we are gonna see what is going on their wardrobe, and you're gonna address some issues like their identity and their self-confidence and their consumption behavior and certain values they care the most. So you're gonna also talk about your impression about their consumption values as well as their lifetime values. All right. So clothing itself is telling pretty much about yourself and your selection and your practices, assembling your clothes in that way, and that is telling pretty much about yourself and the society that you are involved in. Okay, let me show you another example of wardrobe study, and it has been done by, it is a brief and a simple kind of approach to see, to watch and observe the people's wardrobe, to typify people in several ways. That article was really interesting, and it has been published by the Wall Street Journal, and you can see the link below and you can read the whole article. It was interesting. The title was A Closet with Regrets. So people are feeling regrets after purchasing or having some clothes and put it in their wardrobe, and they just found that they never wear that clothes at all. So the interesting part here is they have suggested some statistics, and they said that only people are regularly using only 20% of their wardrobe. So you are just wearing, most of us are wearing just 20% of our entire wardrobe. Okay, so the other 80%, what happened to them? We don't wear at all. Okay, we don't even touch it. So it is not even touched, and it is just a sit in the backside of your wardrobe forever. Okay, so that was what New York Times was talking about. And you are younger, and in case you don't have many clothes and you don't live a lot for a long time, so you don't have many clothing pieces that you don't wear. But in case of they're in their 30s, 40s, they have like accumulated like wardrobe clothing pieces that they never wear, and the Wall Street Journal has typified these consumers in 3 groups. Okay, that was interesting. And the first group was called as the sale shopper, because they make the purchase because that was on sale. So they are thinking like they are saving money, but Wall Street Journal is saying that that is not rational kind of decision to purchase that you really don't want, or you don't really want, you make a purchase because that was on discount. So that was one purpose that this article is talking about. And the second one is the aspirational shopper. Aspirational means ambitious and always thinking about the success, and who wear their dress up very strategically. That means they are wearing with their intention to look ambitious and to working hard, to look like they're working hard, and to like they are having those kind of like emotion, like ambition in their minds. So they are dressing up to dress very nicely, to look well to others. So that is considered important. So on that case, very aspirational shoppers, in that case, just as the Michael has talked about, on their own, they look totally fine in the store. But when you get home, you realize it just doesn't work with the other collections of your wardrobe. So it looks nice as it is on the store, but if you bring it at home, and then you just realize it is not matching and it is not working. So in that case, you have like another purpose to just to look good or to satisfy yourself, but you are considering others' gaze and what others are looking at you, and others are making certain kind of judgment on you, and those kind of social image could be mostly importantly considered in case of the Michael. And Michael has mentioned that I'm regretting pretty much after the purchase. Okay, so that was the type of aspirational shopper. And the third type was called as the emotional shopper. So in case of Khaled mentioned that to cope with her stress, okay, so she went shopping. So she is shopping to get rid of, to get out of the stressing kind of a situation. So in case during the lunchtime, okay, so during the lunchtime, she has a certain kind of moment to cope with her stress, and she looked at all the clothing in her closet with tags that is saying that means that the tags have not been removed by you. So you don't even touch the clothes, you don't even try to wear those clothes, the all new clothes that never wear, and those full of kind of closet and the wardrobe is telling pretty much about the types of these consumers, like emotional shopper and the sale shopper and aspirational shopper. And Wall Street Journal is having very strict or conservative kind of eyes to say that those kind of consumption was not rational. But nowadays people are getting the structure of the rationality, so we cannot put the rational consumption or the rational shopping is more mindful than your emotional consumption. Okay, so in many cases people are putting all different values on their clothing, on their car, or on what they have, or what they believe, and what they try to pursue by having certain kind of lifestyle. So it is all different kind of value in people's free choice to have certain kind of values when making certain decisions. Okay, so only solely talking about the rationality, the rational consumption itself was very narrow kind of scope to me. Okay, so it is your view to see what is the meaningful or the mindful kind of shopping, or having your wardrobe and arranging your wardrobe. All right, okay. Okay, let me introduce one famous wardrobe study that has been conducted by Dr. Sophie Woodward, and she is a professor of anthropology in the University of Manchester. Okay, and she is lecturing right now, and she is doing further studies on the material culture, like blue jeans and the feminism, and how the meanings of the ideas of feminism has been put on blue jeans and those kind of studies. So she is studying pretty much about the symbolic meanings that has been placed on the certain material like clothing pieces. Okay, so that was the first study, and it was her doctoral dissertation to study about the people's to observe women's, like 26 women's wardrobes. Okay, that was like big kind of study. So what she did was she visited like their homes of 26 participants, and she visited their home and observed all the decorations and the curtains and the bookshelves and the music collections and the TVs and every details of their home, and all described about their taste at first. And then what she did was she was sitting on the bed of somebody else's bed, or sitting on the bed and in the very personal space. So she tried to keep the space like for this observation study of the space, the field of this study as natural as possible, so to make them feel comfortable, to have fun, to talk about their stories. So it was quite a very casual kind of study, but the finding was very influential. Okay, so what she did was she did some experiments. She presented the scenarios of specific occasions to choose. So she was sitting on somebody else's bed, and now tomorrow you're gonna have a wedding, your friend's wedding. Okay, so your close friend's wedding. So what would you like to wear for for tomorrow. Okay, so that kind of scenarios and experiments, scenario-based experiments were conducted by her, and 26 like participants have started to search for their clothes. They look this way and that way, moving the old clothes like this way. Oh, I have nothing to wear. Like, as they are started to collect all the pieces for the wedding, and they have presented their assembly of their outfit. That might be like okay. And that was what she found from this experiment was they try to present the best kind of outfit, the most, like, not the favorite one, their personal one, their favorite is secret kind of item, but that looks like public and could get others' approval, like that is okay to wear for somebody else's wedding. And on other occasions, like birthday party and another different kind of situation in their social gatherings, and they have selected series of their collections to show that who they are. And it is not just about expressing about themselves, but a lot of social values that they'd like to extend themselves, to connect themselves with the others. So they'd like to communicate and to enjoy that specific moments like birthday or the wedding. So in that case, they are thinking pretty much about the others. So like you can see on this picture, and she is like connecting, like literally herself with her baby. Yeah, and there are lots of many kind of protective kind of functions of the clothes to protect yourself and to extend the many faces, many dimensions of your characteristics and the personality to show to others. So it was about the social study, what people consider the most when they're presenting their outfit or their appearance and their standing on the public in public occasions. So that was what she found, and she has said that the key attributes of clothing is about connectivity. So we care pretty much about the individualism and the individualistic kind of like taste, and our self, presenting ourselves as it is, that is considered the most importantly, and the rational consumption and logic oriented kind of selection is considered like importantly by the people who are regretting all the time. But in case if you're having certain kind of occasional situation, you care pretty much about the others. Okay, so that was what she found through the wardrobe study. Okay. So, what Sophie Woodward had found from her wardrobe study and conceptualized and to analyze her findings were by taking the conceptual framework of Joan Eicher, who was Sophie Woodward's professor. Okay, so it is very famous kind of concept, like famous kind of theory, which is presenting titled as multi-dimensional selves. So we have a multi-dimensional selves. If you can think of the people, like many people are having several kind of accounts, Instagram accounts. They have their main accounts and they have several sub accounts. In their case, they keep the main account as public. It can be shown to the all, and they have sub accounts that is private, and it is only privately open to your intimate others. Okay, so that is the starting point. It was quite a long and old kind of concept that has been developed and repeated to stress and point out the importance of this concept, because that theory is still relevant, and today's consumers are presenting themselves in certain occasion and in certain situation because they have a very basic kind of protection needs to hide themselves for some people, and they are gonna show some part of their personality to the other people. So that is the concept of the multi-dimensional selves and the three selves, and what Joan Eicher has categorized is about three dimensions, like could be more, but three dimensions of yourselves, and there that is called and titled, labeled by them as public self, private self, and secret self. Okay, so the public self is the self that you let everybody know. Okay, so that is your public kind of image, or your outfit and the collections of your wardrobe to show, stand and in front of the public. And you could have the private self. That means you're gonna have your self image. You let your close friends and families know. So if you're setting the occasions like your closest friend's birthday party, in that case they choose very creative or fun looking or kind of costume they'd like to show, or they could be they could have possibility choose very casual and very comfortable or kind of clothes that they have to hang around with your close friends. And secret self is that is the face of the dimensional face of yours, but you don't want to show your the image to the others. So in case we're doing the wardrobe study, and wardrobe means the closet, and it is very metaphorical meanings. Like if you are keeping in the closet, we are representing, like we are indicating the homosexual people who are keeping in the closet, and in that case they don't want to show their secret self and to keep their dimension of their identity as secret, not to be shown to the others. Okay, all right. So the self concept is complex and multifaceted kind of concept. So you could have many different selves to choose to show. You're not like gonna show the every single, like you can I'm sorry. So in that case, the collections and the selections of the assembly of your wardrobe could be like overlapped. So your private self and the personal self, your public self could be exactly the same. In some cases, depending on people's self-identification and their perception about themselves. Okay, so that is not like could be understood to understand better about everybody's personality and everybody's identity and their behavior. But in some cases, you can apply this theory to better understand about your consumers' behavior and their collections of their closet and their assembly of their outfit. Okay? Okay, your reading article is discussing pretty much about Pierre Bourdieu's practice theory, which is also called as theory of practice, and it is discussing pretty much, it could be like adopted to discuss and explain about people's wardrobing activities and their practices. Okay, and your article is saying that wardrobe is a metaphoric frame of the social structure. So it is very square, pretty much, and very structured form, and it has very limited space. That means you're gonna have a very limited space physically, and limited budget, and limited clothes selections. That means you're gonna discard some part of your collection to replace with a new one. Okay, so that is very habitual and habituated kind of activities that everybody is doing, like for their daily everyday lives. In this is their everyday ritual. They're dressing up every day, and they're looking in front of the wardrobe and choose what to wear for every day. So the wardrobe itself is representing the symbol, that is the symbolizing the social structure, because you are presenting yourself to be covered with the collections of your clothes and to be ready for the to go out of your house and for the to be placed in the social situation and the social environment. So that is talking pretty much about practice. Practice itself is human action in the social system. Practice. So that was what pretty much has defined about the practice, because on the second week we have discussed Pierre Bourdieu's social distinction theory. People would like to differentiate themselves with their the materials that they have, and they are having kind of cultural kind of capital that has been materialized by the collections of your clothes. Okay, so your clothing itself is talking pretty much of your social values at the same time, because we are living in a social kind of society. We're living not or we are not living alone. We're living in this society, and we are habituated to react or act in certain ways to follow the norms or to go against the norms. So you can choose in certain occasions, in certain situation, you can choose to rebel, or you can choose to not very caring much about, and in certain cases you'd like to pay much attention to follow certain kind of codes or the norms that your community is presenting importantly. So Pierre Bourdieu has talked pretty much about the class and the social distinction, but his general idea is about opposing the idea of cultural reproduction. That means the cultural meanings of the material has been produced by the society, and the cultural surroundings, it has been produced by the culture, certain culture and the society, but you are the agent, active kind of agent, to go against or to change the reproduced kind of cultural meanings that has been embedded on your clothing pieces, like material. So the meanings of the material could be changes. That was the point that Pierre Bourdieu has made through the theory of practice. Okay, so that was the practice, and your wardrobe selection and the wardrobing moment could be also understood as practice. So, okay, you can go further. Let's go further to talk about the social system and your wardrobe selections. Okay, just as Ayana's and Karim's case, we have very limited space of wardrobe. Okay, so it is practically a limited space that is also symbolizing, and metaphorically it is saying that we have very limited space. At the same time, we are like having a structure which is surrounding us. Okay, that means that is the social kind of structure. So wardrobe has been set as it is, and you have been observed how your mother are organizing your wardrobe, and through generation to generation we have learned how to keep our wardrobe and how to maintain it, how to replace with the new clothing. So that was all that kind of practice, but our all practice of wardrobing practices has been limited. So your article that I put on this website, and it is talking about the limited space itself is symbolizing the social structure. Yeah, so we have the fashion. We have talked pretty much about the social system and the fashion system as well. So if you are like intrigued by the fashion media and the fashion news, you're gonna have a certain kind of desire to replace your wardrobe with a new item. Constantly, we want to replace the new item, purchase a new item, and to like regenerate and recreate our wardrobe as it is. So that is my collection, but that is my current collection, and it'll be replaced and over again. So it is telling pretty much about the social system and itself, and the limited space itself is talking pretty much about our limited chances to choose and have. In case we are talking pretty much about the consumerism, consumers are having very limited space to fill their wardrobe. Okay, so here wardrobe is somebody's personal collections, and at the same time it is their practices. So even though that is not possible, but in case if you're having the same closet with your friend in that case, and if you are filling up with the same clothes, but your practices to wear your clothes and choose and to arrange and to make maintenance and how to keep your wardrobe, your practice, your behavior could be all different. Your assembly techniques could be different, and your maintaining techniques and your organizing techniques could be all different. So those kind of behavior of wardrobe practices is telling pretty much about your interviewee, your respondents, and your consumer. Okay, so what you can do, what you can observe from their wardrobe is you're gonna observe their personal collections, how they make their curated all the collections of their selection, their clothing selection, and then you're gonna observe their practices. So you can suggest some scenarios like what you're going to wear for a certain occasion, like for the work or for exercise or certain kind of situation, or what would you like to wear, and you can ask about their most frequently worn kind of clothes, or you can also ask about their favorite clothes and why, and you're gonna see and witness some clues why they're thinking there are certain kind of values on their fashion item. Okay, let me introduce one interesting book. It is very fancy, and the illustration is very pretty and a fancy, casual kind of book. It is not academic at all, but it is very experience-oriented kind of writing of the designer, Kathy Kalada, and she is a designer, fashion designer, running her boutique, and she has many like regular customers, like who is visiting her boutique pretty much like on a regular basis. In that case, she can have chance to observe their customers with her designer's keen eyes to see the many of customers, and collected all the data, accumulated data, and based on her experiences, he like typified her customers in certain ways based on her observation of their shoe selection. So what kind of shoes they prefer to wear frequently is telling pretty much about what kind of person, people they are. So she has labeled like the based on the shoes preferences, like who like to wear the walker heels, in that the high-heeled walker boots. In that case, they are very kind of like challenging, or the people who like to rebel, to take the change, very progressive kind of people. In that case, they're choosing sneakers to wear the most. In that case, they are very goal-oriented or sporty, casual kind of people that everybody knows. And the clothes, in that case, people frequently wear clothes. They are most likely outdoorsy and extroverted and kind of natural and happy kind of people. If they choose to wear the ballerina shoes, like flat shoes, in that case, they are labeled, her customers are labeled like the behind the scene leaders. Okay, spooky. And the final one, the platform, the platform, like stiletto heels. Yeah, in that case, they are taking a very the personality of hardworking and being ambitious and success. And they're pursuing success in their lives, and those kind of ambitious people, they tend to wear the stiletto heels pretty much. So it is not academic and cannot be generalized, but it is a certain kind of experience that this designer has observed and found out. Okay, so it was interesting. All right, that was the meaning that has been put on the statistic-based kind of people's like impression that they got when they are seeing somebody else's outfit or the clothing or shoes choices. All right, so let's take a look at more examples about the meanings that people put on their clothes as an individual level. All right. Okay, so the material culture is saying that your personal meanings that you put on your clothes could say something that you know, but nobody else could notice or recognize. Okay, so that is one very personal meanings that has been put on clothes. The example is saying that while I was reading Jane Eyre, my favorite book, and then I decided to invest in a denim jacket, the signature blue of Jane Eyre. Okay, so the book, the quote here is the quote from the Jane Eyre is describing the spring has come, and you can see the scenery of the nature, and you can see the old colorful kind of like birth of the nature, and you can could be inspired by to have more colors on your clothes, and the winter has gone, and you have bared and you have like endured the harshness of winter, and you can like present a self-gift to yourself to have a denim jacket that has been greatly inspired by her favorite book. That is the personal meanings that you could find from the material stuff. That is an example case of one piece of clothing that has been kept in the closet and never worn. That was a woman's and one participant's main coat that was her mother's, and her mother passed away. So she could not discard it because she remembers her while she was wearing it, and she can smell her perfume from her clothes. But she is not approving killing animals for get the mink, the material of the mink, so she never wears it. But she can miss her by watching this keeping or watching this material piece in her wardrobe. So that is kind of memories and the meanings that has been put on somebody's clothing piece. And this is another example that one participant like illustrated and told the stories, a story of him, and he could not discard this clothing piece because that is containing his very precious kind of memories when she was younger, and she liked this music album. The jacket of this album has presented the image of short shorts and the style that was prevalent on those ages. And when in case if you're missing those days, these kind of clothing pieces could be their longevity and their lifespan could be expanded by recycling again and again to wear it longer. So that was another example of memories has been put on your clothes. Okay, if you can have a chance to find certain items on your consumer's wardrobe. Okay, so for example, if you can find the red buffalo plaid check shirts, and in that case, you're going to go further to study more about the meanings of this shirt, because you can just Google it, and you can easily find the symbolic meanings or the cultural meaning, the historical meanings that has been embedded, accumulated again and again, and by the fashion people or some movies or the fashion images that has been presented with those fashion items is telling pretty much about what they care and they value and they're searching for while taking their wardrobe and doing their wardrobe practices, and it is pretty much telling telling pretty much about who they are and what they are valuing the most. On the next class, we're going to talk about fashion consumption values, and they could just follow the fashion because what is in fashion and out of fashion could be important to your interviewee. In that case, you're going to see what is the meaning that has been personally put on those certain kind of material item, right? And you can find another example which is showing that the symbolic image and the meanings could be changed throughout the times, and it could be also differently appreciated by your consumer as well. So my impression on the turtleneck sweater and your impression could be also different based on how much they're interested in the style or how much you are caring about the meanings of the clothing. So you can see the oversized turtleneck sweater that has been worn by Drake, and Drake was dancing wearing those clothes, and those kind of images has been presented on the TV shows or on the movies, on the all possible stimuli around your consumers, so they could recognize consciously or unconsciously about the meaning of this clothes. So you're gonna go deeper to discuss about how they're perceiving about the image of their clothing and why they chose their clothes to keep in their wardrobe. Okay, so for your second report, you can observe and discuss about their style, taste, and meanings of the clothing, and and you can also discuss about their wardrobe structure and practices and what they put on certain values on their the priority of their selections. So you can talk about their collections and curations of their selections of their clothes, or you can talk about their lifestyles and how they are assemble their clothes for certain occasions, like for certain specific situations. And you can go further to discuss about their self-image and what they value the most when they're selecting or presenting their wardrobes in certain ways. Okay, so you can go deeper on this. I have categorized the topic in 3. You can focus on one topic and you can go deeper, or you can generally describe pretty much about your general impression that you have got from your observation activity. All right, so just feel free and try to describe as much as you want, and in case you have found that this satisfactory kind of point or the major priority on their the priority of their wardrobe selection and wardrobe presentation, that is okay, that is good enough. Okay, so you're doing really good on your assignment and doing writing your report. So okay, so if you have any question, please come to the Zoom meeting, and I can talk with you about your assignment to further develop your assignment, your report for your individual project. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and let's see you on the next video. Okay.